Are you ready for this? I say this every single night, but tonight I want to know, because I don't know. Are you ready to hear the most energetic, caffeinated happy hour of all time? Because the madness is about to begin very, very soon as I load up the internet as always. Tonight's show is going to be unreal. I am ready to lay out the rants for you guys. I always have to fill time until it begins playing. This annoying internet. All right.
The following thoughts on Happy Hour do not represent Cox Media Group or its sponsoring. Anything you hear may and will be used against you. Thank you. Voted as best local podcast in Tampa Bay by the Creative Loafing. You're listening to Happy Hour.
Are you feeling classy today? Sit down for a glass of wine and listen to Happy Hour.
You're tuned in to Happy Hour, an hour where happy rants about something. Sit back and listen in. Happy Hour is on now. Happy Hour is on now.
Yo, what up? What is happening? This is Happy Hour. I am your host, Ryan Hoppe. And for the next hour, my goal is to change the way you think about things. For the next hour, my goal is to entertain you. Maybe you're in traffic and it's so hard to get from Kent to Cleveland, or you're on the Howard Franklin and people have to watch that car crash. I want to have my podcast make time go by. But first, it's what we do every night. It's a tradition. It's time to let that goddamn beat drop. You guys ready? Because I am.
Shut up!
We have so much to get into today. We have so much. But first, it's not hard to get into contact with me. All you have to do is tweet at me. And I will be sure to see the tweets in real time at Ryan Hoppe Radio. Or if you're listening via the app that you can get in the Google Play and in the iOS shop, just search up Hoppe Radio and you can hear all 29 of my interviews. And you can listen live to the show and chat me live via the app or via Spreaker online. Also, like the show on Facebook, facebook.com/Happy Hour. It's a growing brand, I tell you, a growing brand. Tomorrow on Happy Hour, from the legendary Dudley and Bob show on KLBJ, the one and only Dale Dudley will be calling in tomorrow. I am honored. He is a radio legend that has been at it since before I was born. So the fact that he would even sit in on Happy Hour is an absolute honor. We have so much to get into, so let's get it going. All right. I don't know why people are so surprised at this controversy and at this whole quote-unquote scandal that's going on at Louisville. First of all, the reason it's not a bigger one is because people really don't care about Louisville basketball. If this was Duke or UNC or UCLA, people would be up in arms. But because it's Louisville, which really isn't a flashy team for the media. Like when they won back in 2013, no one cared. Whenever they make it to the Final Four, no one cares. No one ever debates how great of a coach Rick Pitino is. So I'm not surprised whatsoever that the media really isn't jumping on this that much. And what's very unique about the whole thing is it seems like people are letting this scandal fly because it's almost like people want to be a part of the whole sex parties that they had, because everyone's like, wow, they were having sex parties for the recruits and the players at Louisville. Sign me up. I'm not saying that's the first thing I thought of, because I looked at the girls that they were hiring, and the girls weren't good looking. But when you hear that there are sex parties at a college for the recruits, you're like, wow. Here's my thing. It's kind of a hypocritical thing that we trashed Joe Paterno and Jerry Sandusky. Now, let me explain myself. That is in a different universe, covering up a pedophile for 30 years who was adopting kids and having sex with them in a shower. That's completely different than hiring exotic dancers for orgies. But Joe Paterno knew about it the whole time, and we crush him. But because it's something that's more normal that happened at Louisville, everyone's going, oh, Rick Pitino didn't know about it. This is the same dude who got in trouble because he paid $3,000 when he cheated on his wife. And he got the girl who he knocked up in 2003. He got her an abortion. This is the same girl that went south of the border on him under a table while they were out to eat at a fancy place. She was going down on him while they were eating. But yeah, everyone is going, oh yeah, there's no way Rick Pitino knew about it. Come on. Just looking at the guy, he looks like a creep. Not like a bad creep, but he just, when you look at him, he reeks of expensive cologne that he puts on way too much. And he just reeks of like a used car salesman. Like, I'm not saying Roy Williams or Coach K are clean. They know about things too, because each university, listen, people are saying, oh, this happens at Louisville. Come on. This happens at every college. There's a reason there was a successful show on Spike TV, Blue Mountain. It's because college kids are appreciating life, getting drunk, smoking weed, and having sex. So I love how people are going, oh, but Coach K would never do this, or Roy Williams would never do this. Of course they know about it. It's happening at every college. So I'm not surprised whatsoever that this happened at Louisville. And when it comes with Rick Pitino, of course he knew about it. He just seems like that greaseball, that scumbag of a coach who would go, oh, way to go, Peyton Siva. Way to go, Russ. Give me a high five, Rondo. Hell yeah. He just kind of reeks of the dude who would be cool with it. Because he's not exactly a class act. He got fellatio under a table while cheating on his wife. Not exactly classy. I mean, good for him. A girl's going down on you, good for you. But you're doing it while you're married and you paid for the girl's abortion. But whatever. We all seem to kind of overlook those parts of Rick Pitino because no one really knows who Rick Pitino is. If you're not into sports, nobody has any idea who Rick Pitino is because he plays or he coaches at Louisville. I'm just saying. So it seems like we're kind of just letting it slide under the rug because no one's heard of Rick Pitino. I'm just saying. If this was Coach K, yeah, we'd be on it. If this was the coach of Michigan, Jim Harbaugh, we'd be on it. But because it's Rick Pitino, we're kind of moving on. All right, here's the article. Absolutely ridiculous. And we're just kind of letting it slide under the rug, and we're just kind of moving on from it. Whatever. Former escort says she paid $10,000, or she was paid $10,000 to arrange sex parties for Louisville basketball. And she says that Rick Pitino must know. But yeah, Rick Pitino was so out of the loop. And if Rick Pitino is out of the loop and he knows nothing about this, then he's the biggest moron. He must not overhear what his players said. Because when people get laid, they brag about it. So if Rick Pitino doesn't overhear the players talking about it and he's that out of the loop when it comes to them having sex parties that are worth $10,000, then dude, you are oblivious. But of course that would never happen because he knew about it. It says here, Katina Powell claims former Louisville coach Andre McGee hired her for sex parties. All right. It wasn't like a fan hired her or a player hired her. One of the people that worked with Rick hired her. That's someone that's so close to the situation. If you're going to sit here and say, Rick Pitino didn't know about these orgies, get the hell out of here. You must be living in Louisville or the surrounding suburbs, or you must be a big Louisville fan. I like Louisville. I always root for them when it's time for March Madness. But even I, as sort of a fan of the team, knows that Rick Pitino knew about it because college sports is full of scumbag leeches with no morals. Even the most moral place like Duke, trust me, Coach K knows about something. We all thought Joe Paterno was this grandpa that we could look up to, and he covered up pedophilia. Just saying. Powell, 43 years old, said McGee, 28, paid her $10,000 for her services, and that he once told her about Pitino. And he quotes, he's Rick. He knows about everything. Of course he does. But Rick can go, I don't know anything about it. Shut up. You're in the corner, you scumbag. This isn't the first time you're being accused of being a scumbag, and it's not the last. And Louisville is not getting rid of you. Trust me. They will get their lawyers, they will get their PR team, and just sweep it under the rug and move on. We've seen this play out before in college sports. It's a bunch of greaseballs, the NCAA. Just saying. She says her 3 daughters also took part in the parties, but they were at least 18. Hey, girls, you want to come some guys tonight? I can't even say what happened at these parties. It's so dirty. What a greaseball of a mother. I'm not saying being an escort is ever classy whatsoever. But when you're bringing your daughters to the party, Mother of the Year. Someone go to Hallmark and buy her a Mother of the Year coffee mug. I'm just saying. If you're bringing your 3 daughters to an orgy with college players who are so horny, then you're an awful, atrocious mother with no morals and no guidance. If you're basically doing sex acts with your family, I'm just saying. I'm not trying to be dirty, not trying to be pornographic, but I'm assuming a lot of things were moving around and there were sloppy seconds, also known as being passed around. So you have to wonder if someone that the mom hooked up with, maybe the daughter hooked up with. Now the players are going to see that as great. I'm just saying it's kind of a grimy, gross thing. Some people are going to sit here and go, but the whole mother-daughter thing is so hot on porn. No, it's not. It's creepy. It's mom's gross. I'm not saying she'd be so much better if she brought her friends over and she was doing this to the players, but it's kind of grimy when you bring your daughters. Whatever. We all seem to overlook those facts. She has written a book about it. Oh! Literally, she knows exactly what she's doing. You know she's been holding on to this for a few years because she was just waiting to write this book. And a woman who chooses the profession of being an escort in life and being at the same party as your daughters, I would only assume probably isn't good enough to write a book about it. I'm assuming there are ghostwriters who helped her write this. I'm just saying. There's some excerpts from the book on the bottom. I will read it. I'm just assuming if you're taking the route of being an escort in life, you're probably not going to be an award-winning author. But that's just me. Hey, maybe she's the next J.K. Rowling. You never know. This could be her second career path. Maybe she was having sex for money because she wanted to save up money so that she could be an author someday. Just saying. Pitino has said neither him nor anybody else knew about the alleged activities. Oh, stop. dude. I'm looking at his picture that they took of him at the press conference today, and he just looks like an absolute scumbag that just reeks of bad cologne. Like, you can just definitely tell he knows about a lot of things that happen there. You're the most powerful guy in that building. It says here, ex-escort Katina Powell broke her silence on Tuesday and said although she has no proof that the Hall of Fame coach, Rick Pitino, knew about the sex parties that the players were having, he must have. Powell, 43, claims she was hired by a former Louisville Cardinal employer to arrange for escorts, including her daughters, like I said, to have sex with former recruits and players. Imagine being those recruits and you're pretending that you're working with the coaches. You're like, oh yeah, I'm down for some orgies tonight. Oh yeah, let's do this. I'll definitely sign up with you guys. And then they go down the block and they sign up for Kentucky. If I were a top-notch recruit and I were having potential sex parties thrown at me, I would work it for all it's worth. Just saying. She asked if Pitino was aware of the parties, and he told her, how could Rick not know? Just sweep it under the rug. Grab the broom. First of all, it says here, during an interview with the Sport Network's show that airs on a certain channel. I'm not going to put the Sports Network on blast, but listen. Are you that much out of material that you're going to the level of journalism when you're talking to an escort who had sex with players? I'm not saying this isn't newsworthy, but this is something out of TMZ or Perez Hilton. It's kind of sad in 2015, going on 2016, that this is sports journalism. An escort who opened up her legs for players. I'm not judging her or what she does for a living. I'm just saying the fact that this is sports news, sad. TMZ really has influenced the way we look at news. The fact that this is sports news. While she says she has no direct knowledge that Pitino knew about the parties, she finds it hard to believe that he wouldn't have. What does it matter if he knew about it or not when it comes from her angle? She had sex with the she had sex with the players either way. So what I'm saying is, does it matter if he knew about it or not if you're Katina Powell? It's not like you're being forced into this. It's not like somebody broke the news without you knowing. You are writing a book about opening up your legs at parties for players. So what I'm getting at is you're kind of an unclassy piece of dirt if you're really going after the coach. Like, it's going to happen either way. And the fact that you're living off of this plot line shows that you have no talent and there's a reason you became an escort. Sad. I can't imagine just being that type of person where you have sex for money, which is one thing, but then you write a book about it and then you go on TV and act like you're a changed person. Trust me, you never change as a person. If I were a girl, I'm not saying I would treat my body and wait till marriage, but I would never be a girl who just opens up your legs at parties and then writes a book about it. Like, you have no class. Like, when I cleaned out my cat's litter box today, whatever was in there, everything, literally, that box has more class than a girl who's an escort and writes a book about it. She says here, 4 years, a boatload of recruits, a boatload of dancers, loud music, alcohol, security cameras, basketball players, people who came in. She explained to ESPN. All right. What I love is most normal people go, yeah, that's like something out of a Bang Bros production on Pornhub. Like, we're all kind of going, wow, that sounds kind of intriguing. And if you're not thinking that, then you're lying to yourself. That's the reason this is getting swept under the rug. Because every dude who is into sex is getting intrigued hearing about this. But if this was kids, we'd be so outraged by it. I'm just saying. This isn't good. This has no morals. It shows that Rick Pitino is a scumbag. But like I said, it's going to get swept under the rug. It is the first time Katina Powell has talked publicly since releasing her book, Breaking Cardinal Rules, Basketball and the Escort Queen. Ugh. You might as well take away the word queen from the vocabulary if you're going to compare yourself to one and you're going to say you're an escort queen. Oh yeah, that's quite the resume builder. Put it on LinkedIn. You're an escort queen. Yuck. And I know people are going to go, Hoppe, wouldn't you have sex with her? Hoppe, come on. Not saying I wouldn't, but she literally brings no attraction to me whatsoever. I've had people say that they love to get hookers, people online and people I've met in real life. That's not for me, because I'm not going to sit here and say I'm a moral person, but I just can't imagine paying for it, getting the job done, and then leaving and going, I could have used my money on something else. Like, I'm the type of guy where I'm a little more emotional. And I'm not saying that I want to marry the first girl I sleep with, but I would rather accomplish the fact that a girl went home with me. Paying for sex is such a waste of money. Just saying. Have you seen the economy? All right, it just says here, I couldn't make this up if I wanted to. Well, of course you couldn't make it up, because if you were to make it up, there'd be slander and there'd be lawsuits against you. So of course you wouldn't make it up. They would sue you in a second. Which shows why this definitely happened, because you don't see the lawyers suing her for slander. If you're going to go all the way and write a book about opening up your legs for players at parties, then the school knew about it. Because if you're going to write a book about it, you're all in on knowing that it happened 100%. I don't know. It's just, college sports is so scummy. Like, it's just unique how, if this were to have happened to women and guys were going over there, then we would call the guys pigs. Or if this were to have happened to kids or underage kids, we'd go, oh my God, this is completely awful. But when it's a bunch of dudes that play basketball that are getting laid, I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just saying it's funny how we just kind of move on from it and we go, so what's on SportsCenter tonight? What's on Comedy Central? We're just kind of ignoring it. Sex is a weird thing that people talk about in the media. You see sex all the time in Victoria's Secret commercials, Axe body spray commercials, sitcoms are about sex. But when it comes to reporting it about the news, it's funny how PC the media is. Because we know everybody that's reporting about sex in the very PC way on sports networks are the ones that watch the most kinkiest sex. I'm just saying, I find it fascinating that the act of love, which brought us all into this earth, brings out so much awkwardness. Just saying. All right, here's a little bit from her award-winning book, which I would assume will go on the New York Times bestseller list. It's from the chapter called First Sex Party at Bill Minority Hall. It sounds like a good chapter. McGee was in control when it came to the dorm. Andre told me how he wanted it done, but usually it was for me to send the girls out one at a time. So sometimes she's the one that's doing the servicing or the act, but she'll go, Keisha, Marie, come on out. It's your turn. It's basically what the first paragraph says. There were 7 or 8 players of music from an iPod with speakers. Andre played this song, Racks on Racks on Racks on Racks, Money on Money by rapper YC, that drove the girls nuts. They were sick of it. Oh, yeah. It wasn't the fact that you're having sex that's basically meaningless sex. That's not what drove them nuts. It's the fact that they listened to a song by YC. Oh, I'm sure. That's the part that they hate about the job. Because we can't really sit here and say that an escort truly loves having sex for money. The money's good, the attention's good, but you know deep down, once they're done and they're driving home, maybe they can look themselves in the mirror, but they're not completely content with what they've chose for a career. They're not exactly going to brag about it on LinkedIn or put it on their job application in 5 years. The girls got down to nothing. They were my friends, so they were willing to get naked in front of me. While they were dancing, Andre would find out which dancer each recruit and player wanted to have sex with. You might as well say that the movie director was doing the directing in the background, because this literally is something out of a porno. I mean, it's just because it's normal that we're just kind of sweeping it under the rug. Can you imagine if this was for recruits that are 15 years old, that are so good at basketball that they're getting recruited at the beginning of high school? Then we'd be up in arms. But the fact that it was legal age, whatever. Then he would work a side deal with me to negotiate the price. It was usually $100 to $120 per girl. Pay was always up front. Andre paid me and I paid the girls on the spot. I just can't imagine. All right, how much for Keisha? How much for Marie? Like, where your body is actually worth money. I can't imagine taking that profession in life. But hey, I want to go into radio. I deliver pizzas. Some girls want to be escorts, I guess. I don't know. Here's what she talks about when her daughters were escorts. Here's her riveting chapter on it. It says here, people may think that I expose my kids, but I didn't say the word, they enjoy themselves. They meet new people. Believe me, they have their own life, but they enjoy the perks of shows. You can meet new people by going on blind dates. You can meet new people by going to the bars, dressing nice and classy, and guys will hit on you. These girls wanted the money, and shame on this mom for even allowing her 3 daughters to go into this profession. You often hear that when moms are dancers, or dads are pimps, or they're in gangs or whatever, that they choose that life to make a living, but they don't want their kids to go into it. Kind of like The Sopranos. But this mom has no class if she's encouraging her daughters to go into it. Yeah, you'll meet new people. You'll get to network with a bunch of guys after you go south of the border. I'm not trying to be pornographic or dirty when I describe it, but that's basically what she's saying. You'll meet new people. You'll get to know the guys for 5 minutes. What a great career. For those who have a problem with this, not with this, but it's with this, they can kiss my ass. Maybe she did write it, because there's a lot of run-on sentences. There's no, like, periods when they're supposed to be, or commas. She definitely did write this. I bet she hired a ghostwriter, and the guy's like, oh my God, there's no way I can correct this grammar. And then she's like, I'll write it myself. She says that the recruits' dads were now left out, so everybody was invited to the party. The main escort queen, Katina Powell, the daughters, the players, the recruits, maybe coaches, but then the recruits' dads. Man, this is a full-on orgy when you have dudes just getting serviced at a frat house, at a dorm. When the dads get involved, that's when this reaches a new level of scumbaggery. I'm just saying. Here's what it says. The dad of one of the recruits said he more than likely will send his son to Louisville. due to the more than fun activities. What a great way to pick which school you want to play at, if your dad liked when the girls went down on him or not. Just saying. It's time before he leaves. All right, I bet his wife's very proud of that. There's not much more to the article. I just don't get how you look yourself in the mirror. I don't get how you pretend that you're cool with it, with just being passed around at parties. I mean, I'm not judging or hating on girls that go into that profession. I'm going into the tight-knit profession of radio. It's hard to get into this business. So I'm not judging, but I just find it kind of sad that the girls clock in at work and then they clock out. No pun intended. Like, that's what you're doing for a living. That's how you're making money. And if people really think that Rick Pitino didn't know about it, then you're an out-of-touch, moronic buffoon that roots for that team. All right.
Next on Happy Hour.
Today was a good day for medical marijuana. They were trying to prevent some federal laws from getting involved, and it worked. So we will get to that and more after this. Tweet at me at Ryan Hoppe Radio. Chat me live via the app and online. Let's get this chat feature going. We will be right back on Happy Hour after this. Hang on.